Welcome to the Valley Today, a public service presentation of the good folks at KAIL TV. Some people never grow up, and if you're affiliated with Monster City Studios, you probably never will. They create characters, giant props, tree houses for children and adults, and possibly anything else you could imagine. Join us as we visit with Richard Deaver, head of the skilled artist and craftsman of Monster City Studios. Up next on the Valley Today. And welcome to the Valley Today. With us is Richard Deaver of Monster City Studios. And Richard, thanks for being on the Valley Today. You're okay. I don't care what anybody says about you.
And they say a lot.
And now you get to relive your childhood. You're living the dream.
Pretty much. It keeps you young.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that.
And you make backdrops and you make props for Hollywood, but you also do a lot of other things too. Tell us about Monster City Studios.
We do a lot of themed environments in general. We'll create characters, we'll create stories. We're basically storytellers first. So everything that we try to do, we want to know what the backstory is. If somebody comes to us with a project, we'll say, is there a story behind this? What story are you wanting to tell? Because we'll help you tell that story. In some cases, they have no idea. So we'll develop a story for it that basically can help us in our design process to come up with the best possible concept for them. And then we'll do a series of different designs. We'll start with sketches and we'll work all the way up through full three-dimensional drawings. And then from there we go into production. And we'll fabricate. We use all kinds of different materials. We use foams, we use wood, we use steel, fiberglass, anything that you can think of. We mold things, we do a lot of different types of projects.
Things that weren't possible 40, 50, 60 years ago are now possible through CNC machines and certainly the materials that you're using now. And this artwork, it's three-dimensional artwork, it's beautiful. It's absolutely stunning.
Yeah, these are actually, these characters are foam, but they're coated with it's called a polyurea coating. And it's pretty much impervious to any kind of weather problems. So this stuff can go outside and last many years without any problem at all.
Really?
We'll use the CNC to start with, and then we'll come in and we have really good artists and sculptors here, and they will sculpt and finish and get all the detail and then come back and paint. And then we have a finished piece. So we do a variety of different types of characters and animals. We can go from whimsical and basically like a cartoon type character to the realistic elephant that's over here that is supposed to go to the zoo at the new African Adventure exhibit they've got going over there.
That is dynamic, it really is.
And that's all foam. But it does have it has that hard coating on it, which is basically a polyurea coating. It's very durable.
It's almost bulletproof.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
I mean, you could take a sledgehammer.
I mean, kids can climb on this stuff, and you know what kids do, and it'll survive.
And they do.
How did Monster Cities get going?
Basically, we were formed through acquisition about a year and a half ago, through companies that were doing this in the area, kind of a consolidation of the talents and things like that. And we've been able to attract some really talented people that are in this area that they weren't able to do this kind of work because it didn't exist before. The companies that were doing it were small, and there might be individuals or a couple of people doing it, but it was nothing really of any large scale. And we've been able to, again, attract really talented people to the company and doing what we're doing, and we're able to create some pretty amazing projects right now.
Let's work our way back into the shop.
Okay.
And you've got a art department, and they're working on something right now.
This is actually for a customer. It's going to be we call it a man cave. It's kind of the ultimate man cave, and it's we got James in here working on that. It basically has a bit of an exotic. You could call it an Indiana Jones type of theme that we're developing. This is just one part of it. This is kind of the village area, but it'll have temples, it'll have walls of rock, and it's going to have a large 32-foot long bar inside it as well.
This is CAD design, is that correct?
Yeah, this is basically he's using a product called SketchUp right now.
Oh, wow.
This will then go into ZBrush, and we'll refine it and finish it and do a lot of detailing and lighting and things like that. So this is the first step.
So when you build most of this facade, is it going to primarily be made out of foam?
It'll be a combination of foam and wood. We use a lot of reclaimed wood as well.
That's great. So you guys are recyclers too?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah?
I mean, we actually use a lot of reclaimed material.
Now, is that getting harder to find, the reclaimed material, as you know, these old folks pass away and their farms go up for sale and they're tearing buildings down? I can imagine that the wood is becoming less and less.
It's becoming, in some cases, unless we're able to tear it down, it becomes more expensive too.
Yeah.
And it actually reclaimed is more expensive than buying new wood, because you have to, if you have to tear something down, you've got labor costs.
Right.
If you have to take nails out, or you know, throw away pieces that aren't usable because they've rotted or whatever, there's a lot more labor involved. So our costs are probably 3 or 4 times higher than buying a new piece of wood, but it has that detail and that age that is really attractive.
We've driven down 180 before, going to other shoots, and we always see the birdhouses and all these structures, these wood structures that you have next to the freeway, and we always wondered what is that?
That's us. That attracts a lot of attention. A lot of times when people come in here, they think we build tree houses and playhouses.
Right.
We do that. We've done a number of those, but it's our primary business isn't, we don't have one specific thing we do. We do a lot of different things. We work for large companies, small companies. We do work locally. We do work out of state, and we do work overseas.
So primarily, what are the biggest projects that you work on? I mean, the types of things. I know that you've done some things for Disney. You've done some things for Chachansey. You've done other things for some of the TV stations here locally.
Yeah, the Fresno Fair, the stuff that's out at the Fresno Fair, the kids area, all of that. There's just so many. We work, I can't really say some of the companies we work for, but some pretty big international companies that we do work for. That's we have a project right now that's in New York City that was set up and it's on display. So just a lot of different things. We'll do some stuff that comes in really has no specific story behind it. It's just that they want something.
Yeah.
So we'll do project work, but it's if we can get something that has a story behind it, or
You like the storytelling part.
well, we like that because that's what we like to be able to do. Is
Sure.
we tell story through 3-dimension, but we
Yeah.
also are doing it through animation.
And it probably gives you a better focus if there's a backstory to whatever you're working on also.
It does.
Yeah. Let's go out and look at the
Okay.
CNC machine, and then we have something special to show everyone here. Tell us about this contraption.
This is our CNC machine. It's pretty much a workhorse. This does a lot of the characters that you saw. We cut the foam with this. We'll do it in pieces sometimes and then assemble it. Like all those characters were cut in pieces. And then we assemble them, just like this gentleman's doing back here with that grape cluster. That was done in 3 separate slices. And that's actually going out to the Fresno Fair. We're doing a wine garden area where they do their wine tasting. This wall is going to be all rock. It'll look like basically a Tuscan theme.
Yeah.
And that cluster of grapes will be on the front of it up above the door. So he's carving, that came off the CNC, then he's assembling it and hand detailing it from there. And then we'll hard coat it and then paint it.
Boy, CNC and the computers that operate them have sure changed this industry, I can imagine, huh?
Yeah, this saves so much time because this can operate all night by itself.
Yeah.
When I leave here in the evening, this thing is still running.
I can imagine probably the hardest thing to operate this is the pre-programming, getting all the details right before you start to cut any material.
But what James was doing in there was basically doing the design.
Yeah.
From there, he will take and slice that up.
Yeah.
And create what they call a tool path. And that tool path is what this will follow. So that entire job that you saw on the screen in there will come over to here.
Yeah.
And be cut up in pieces.
So that wall that we were looking at, that'll probably be what, maybe 20 pieces, 30 pieces?
It'll be a lot of pieces.
Wow.
A lot of pieces.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah, when we do stuff, sometimes there's huge numbers of pieces
Yeah.
involved. I mean, just this wall we're doing right now, all these things over here are part of the wall that we'll then bring together and finish
Now,
off.
when you do the exterior coating, do you mix the color with that, or is that
No.
at the end process?
No, the color that goes on there is kind of a beige color. That's how it comes out of the gun. And it's a two-part, comes out at 160 degrees Fahrenheit, and it cures immediately.
Wow.
So it's really hot, but it's cured.
Yeah.
After that, we'll primer it and start painting. So it's just a process that we go through. That coating, because of its durability, we can take it anywhere.
Right.
Pretty much. So some of the tree houses that we've done, the one that we just sent to Abu Dhabi, the entire tree is foam, but it's got steel structure inside that you don't see.
And you'll probably anchor it with cement, right?
Yeah, when it goes in, the house on top of it is, it's like a Queen Anne Victorian. I can show you some of the literature on that.
That's
too,
cool.
so.
We have one more thing to show you in the shop, and I guess the next segment we're going to go to Chuchansey Park and look at the ag zone that you created for
Yes.
the sponsors there.
Yeah, the Fresno Grizzlies asked us to do a theme that's called the Ag Zone.
So tell us what we're looking at here.
This is a water map of California.
This is the whole state represented, right?
Right. This is all in 3D. This is a 30-pound foam, so it's real dense, and you can get a lot of detail out of it. This was, we did this for Myers Water Bank, and this was out at the Fresno Fair last year. All we're doing right now is we're adding some additional greenery to it. We're going to identify the rivers, and then we've got to put a new cover back on the top.
So there's still a little more work that needs to be
There's a little bit more we're doing to this, just to add some detail to it.
And all the waterways, depending on which wheel you were playing with, would light up, right? Is that correct?
Yeah, there's probably, there's hundreds of feet of fiber optics inside this, in the box below.
Yeah.
And they're all fed by LEDs, so when someone turns these wheels, the lights will light up in the sequence of the way the water is flowing.
Wow.
So it shows the direction, but it also shows, when you read the description here, it'll tell you what you're lighting up, so you can see the source of water and where it goes to.
What a great teaching tool to show not only kids but adults, you know.
Yeah, Myers actually takes this
works.
around to schools and stuff, so they do take this around. It's a portable display.
That is very cool. Guess what? We're out of time on this segment.
Okay.
You see how fast 13 minutes goes by?
Like that.
Boom! With Richard Deaver here at Monster City Studios. And when we come back, we're going to be at Chuchansey Park, and we're going to be looking at the new thing that you built for them. And welcome back to the Valley today with Richard Deaver from Monster City Studios. Living the dream. You are living the dream.
We're having fun.
Yeah. I don't know too many people that can say that.
Well, it's a lot of fun to come up and go to work every day.
Yeah, that's wonderful. This is one of your latest creations. It's a kiosk for Gartatulian, right?
Yeah, this the Ag Zone here at Chuchansey Park was designed primarily to allow sponsors to display their work, their services. Gartatulian is the primary sponsor of this, and you have companies like Sunmade and some others that are signing on. But this is designed as a theme. The Ag Zone, obviously, there's kind of our farm grown is the whole thing, the Central California farm grown, because it's a farm team for the San Francisco Giants, but it's also an ag theme because of the location here in the valley.
Double entendre.
Exactly.
Very cool.
But this is set up to where there can be private receptions that can be held, wine tastings, things like that, where the sponsors can meet with people and talk to them about what they do. So it's really kind of it serves a lot of different purposes.
Yeah. And not only did you build that, but you built these
kiosks?
These kiosks here, and this is all made by your artists.
Yeah, these are made pieces here. These are all molded, but these trays come out, and they can take these out and replace them, and they can put actual produce in here.
So multi-purpose.
Yeah, because when they have home games on Friday nights, they have a farmer's market. So these are all portable. They're on casters, and they can be reconfigured to where all the produce vendors can use these to sell their produce out of as well.
When somebody approaches you with a project, and I know that the time involved depends on how large the project is, but typically what's an average turnaround from inception to creation?
You know, it's probably, again, depending on the size of it, it could be 2 to 3 months. In some cases, some of our clients, because of the nature of their business, we do a lot of work for production companies and things like that, and those are usually really fast turnaround because they're working on very
Tight
short
schedules.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And usually there's a lot of changes that come during that process, so it's pretty complex. Sometimes the guys are pulling their hair out because we're working, you know, ridiculous hours to get something out the door.
Yeah. And
But
business is good for you, right?
Business has been good, yeah. This year we're going to have really a good year.
Lance, your PR guy, was telling me that you built a $60,000 treehouse for a 5-year-old. Is that true?
That's true. We built
That
one
is
that's
insane.
similar. The other one that we built that's similar to that one is in Abu Dhabi right now.
Oh,
We're going to
okay.
be one of the guy that was doing the design on the computer, James. He's our vice president of design. He's actually going over there in a few days to help set up.
You know what's amazing is that you've got all this incredible talent here, and it's right here in the Fresno area, centrally located between Los Angeles and San Francisco. I mean, basically you could run this business anywhere in the world.
Sure.
And of course, because you're a local boy and you're a Rough Rider, you know, you elected to stay here, and you know that's great for our local economy.
Yeah, I think the talent here, the level of talent that we have in the Valley is, there's so much of it.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of artists and creative people that live here that an opportunity to work at a place like ours doesn't come every day. You have to go to LA or some of the major markets to be involved in this industry. Because we're here, we're able to really attract some really
And I can
talented
imagine
people.
that maybe the product costs less here because you're in this area as of opposed to being in downtown Los Angeles. So
Our overhead is lower here.
Yeah.
Our costs are, in some cases, they might be comparable to other areas, but you know, prices are all across the board. There's really no, I mean, even the treehouse you refer to, we can do something that could be 3 times that still is about the same size. It's just the amount of detail that they want in it or the
Sure.
features they want.
Yeah, and that all depends on how much time is going to be involved to create whatever you're working on.
Exactly.
Yeah. So what's the biggest project that you've ever worked on?
The one we're working on right now is probably our biggest. We have another one coming up this year too. The one that we're doing right now that we're in design for, that we were showing earlier on the computer, it's a 6,000 square foot, basically we're calling it a man cave, but it's a place where someone is storing some of their car collection, but it's an Indiana Jones theme. That's a huge project.
It's a dolled up warehouse.
Yeah, it's
Very
the
nice.
walls are about 20 foot tall, and
Yeah.
these things are going to be huge scale. We also have a project in the South Valley that we're going to be working on this year for an interactive children's museum, brand new facility that will be ground up. We're doing all the exhibits inside, and that's a pretty big project.
Yeah. Now on this, you've got this is an actual working antique windmill, right?
It is, yes.
Where'd you source it at?
We bought it locally at a company that has different types of antiques that we got it from them, and then brought it out here. And inside this building, we used a lot of steel. So there's a lot of, because it was brought here on site in sections and then placed with a crane.
Yeah.
And the steel that's holding that thing up is...
So did you you probably figured all this out in the shop. You did the build out in the shop, and then you were able to disassemble it and then reassemble it here.
We brought it in 3 sections.
Yeah, this is very cool. Some of this is repurposed wood, some of it's new to look like repurposed wood, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
The doors are repurposed. The interior in here is a mix. You can see the different color striations of the lumber. That's all reclaimed.
Isn't that beautiful?
The stuff that's more reddish in color, like some of this was new, but we've mixed it in.
Yeah.
And then everything on the outside is is a combination, but it's mostly, the outside is mostly new wood.
And of course, this is a multi-purpose room too, because you could use this for serving wine or beer or food or snacks.
These drop down to the inside, and there's rooms in back here that they can serve. They can use it for a variety of different things, and then as people come through, they can have private receptions back here.
I can imagine when a client comes to you and wants to do something, you probably have to have a couple of sessions where you say, well, maybe what you're asking isn't feasible, but how about this idea? I can imagine that you're constantly modifying ideas all the time.
Yeah, and when we're in design, like the one that we're doing right now for this, we've got a couple of projects that are in design, the man cave and this kids dental practice up in Sacramento. We go through a series of design steps. We'll start with sketches, then we'll go and keep refining the design till we get a final design that the customer signs off on. Then we go into fabrication on that. So sometimes it's a lengthy process.
Yeah.
This here, we went through a couple of minor design variations and got the green light and started building.
It basically looks like a working barn that you would see in the Central Valley, you know?
Yeah, it's a little bit smaller. I mean, height-wise and scale-wise, it's a little bit small, but it was designed really not to be a regular barn, but to be more of a centerpiece, but also to have a utility.
And that's one thing that we discussed when we were looking at that interactive water map, that's not to scale either, but there's some enhancements on the hills because of
the topography. If we had done it based on the scale of that map,
it'd be flat.
It would have been pretty small.
Yeah.
So we bumped that up just to show more of the detail on the mountains and the difference between mountains and the valleys and things. So
how many folks you got working for you now?
Got about 12 to 13 people there.
Full time?
Yeah.
Wow. And just constantly busy, busy, busy.
Yeah, we've got, we've usually got multiple projects going,
yeah,
just like we do now. Sometimes they're in design, sometimes they're in production. Some will come in at the same time and we're scrambling. I mean, we've had times where we've had 2 semi-trucks at the shop loading up 2 different projects at the same time.
Wow.
And that's usually a lot of stress.
So your fastest turnaround from inception to creation for one of these movie sets, how long?
The last one that we did was 6 days.
Wow. And how big was that project?
That's the one that's actually in New York right now.
Oh, okay, and that's a background facade?
It's basically, it's almost like an art museum.
Wow.
We did really ornate design work, these big frames and everything. It's it's actually in a store. This wasn't for a movie, it's in a store.
Oh, okay.
But that was the company that we do that for. We do a lot of different projects for them.
And basically you do have to have engineering because you, like on a project like this has to be a building that will be signed off by whatever inspector, and it has to be sturdy enough to withstand the elements.
Yeah, because this is portable, this is not a permanent structure. We don't have to go through the same, like the permitting process.
Right.
But as a
Only because
structure.
it's not bolted down, huh?
Exactly.
Wow.
But it still requires to be built, that's why there's a lot of steel inside this.
So how much do you think this thing weighs? 5 ton?
Yeah, easily. I think we did weigh it.
Yeah.
I forget what it was now, but it was pretty heavy.
This is impressive. It really is. As I mentioned earlier, you guys are also the recyclers. When you're using some of this reclaimed wood, that's putting it to good use.
We use the wood we use. A lot of it is reclaimed. Mm-hmm. It's harder to source now, though, but we'll still use it when we can.
Well, like I said earlier, all these older families are passing away, and some of these farms are becoming corporate now, and some of the buildings are disappearing.
Yep, that's true.
Yeah, this is really very unique.
Well, actually, the roof on this.
Yeah.
The metal roof was actually from the old cotton compress buildings over there at, was it Hughes and Nielsen?
Oh, part of the Calcott?
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's recycled
So that's recycled steel also?
Right.
Wow. I think we're out of time. We're very close to out of time. How can people get a hold of you that would like to use your services?
Well, they can Google Monster City Studios, or they can go to our website, www.monstercitystudios.com. Mm-hmm. Or they can call us at 559-498-0540.
Wow, very cool. Any last thoughts?
We just love what we do.
Yeah, I'm jealous. I'm jealous. With Richard Deaver here from Monster City Studios on the Valley today, and the Valley today is a public service presentation of this great TV station. Thanks for watching and have a great day.